Hi everyone, my name is Charlotte and today I'm going to walk you through how to write your own resume. So I've put together this template which is kind of designed for someone who is still in school. A lot of resume templates are created on the assumption that you have already graduated and you've been in the workforce for a long time, but this one is specifically for someone that's still in school, whether it be middle, high school, or college. So a note on that, I created this template by essentially editing one of the Google Drive templates. If you prefer the layout or the color scheme of one of the other templates more, you can export the structure of this one and plug it in to a different template. So to find those, you're going to go to Google Drive, you're going to click New, Google Docs from a template. Once it loads, you're going to see that there is a whole section which is specifically for resumes. So I chose one, you can choose a different one. But yeah, so to walk you through a little bit the components of a resume. The first part is your name and your contact information. So you're going to list your name, your address, your phone number, and your email. Make sure they're accurate, and if you ever change your email or get a different phone number, update it. So the next section is the skills section. And the skills section is essentially talking about what you're good at. What are your strengths? Why should someone enroll you in their program, or why should they hire you? If you speak a second language, this is a really good, or a third language or a fourth language, any additional languages other than your native language should be listed in this section. If you're really organized, you can use that as an example. If you're really good at research, if you're very proficient in Google Drive and Google Classroom, these are all examples of things that you can put in that skills section. I would say generally list between 2 and 4 skills because everyone has their strengths, and it's really important to let an employer know why you do what you do well. So the next section is extracurricular activities. And since this resume is designed for someone that's in school, I put this section in. But if you only, it's similar to the work experience section. And if you only have work experience, feel free to only list jobs under that. If you only have extracurricular activities that you want to list, feel free to get rid of the work section and only list extracurricular activities. But both sections are essentially saying, this is how I spend my time. This is what I'm passionate about, and they're going to follow a similar format. So for the extracurricular activities section, you're going to list your activity, where it takes place, and where you fall within it. So if you're a captain of a sports team, you should say the sports team, where that sports team comes from. So if it's your high school, say your high school. And if you're a member, say member. If you're captain, say captain, but essentially just mark where you fall within the team. And then if this is something you have done in the past and you no longer do, say the month and the year. Right over here, you can see an example. Say the month and the year when you ended doing it. If this is something that you still do, list when you started it, and then mark that you still do it by saying present. So if this is something that you currently do in these bullet notes, these bullet points are essentially just detailing what this membership means, how you spend your time within this role. So if it's something you're still doing, you're going to use the infinite form of the verb. So you're going to say assist, run, help. It's essentially like a job description. If this is something you did in the past and you no longer do, you're going to use the past tense. So assisted, ran, helped, etc., etc. And if there were any highlights of this role, if there is something specifically that you think is impressive or someone should know about, use these bullet points to really list that. So then the next section is the work experience section. And to distinguish between extracurriculars and work experience is something more professional or something that you get paid for. I think personally that volunteering is considered work experience because you're in a professional setting, but some people also choose to list that in extracurriculars. But to give you a sense of what's work experience and what's extracurriculars, I think a general rule of thumb is it in a professional setting or not? And if it is, and definitely if you're getting paid, it's considered work experience. So for work experience, it's very similar to extracurriculars. You're going to say the company name, the location, and then the job title. And then you're going to list how long you were there. Or if you're still there, you're going to say present. And again, you have these bullet notes where you get to list some of the ways that you either spend or spent your time there. So moving down, to some of the last sections of the resume, you have the education section. The education section is where you're going to communicate where you're currently in school. So you're going to say your school name, the location, and then the anticipated date of graduation. So in my case, I'm a senior. I'm going to graduate this June. So I'm going to say High School of American Studies, Bronx, New York, anticipated date of graduation, June 2021. And then you're going to list your current GPA in your school's grading scale. So if your school grades out of 4.0 and you have a 3.2, you're going to say 3.2 out of 4.0. If your school grades out of 5.0 and you have a 4.2, you'll say 4.2 out of 5.0. And then the relevant coursework section is where you get to list classes that this person that's reviewing your resume may want to know about. So that can be AP classes or honors classes. Those can be classes that you think are really relevant to your career path or you've really enjoyed. It can also be tailored depending on the type of job that you're applying to or the type of program you're sending your resume to. So if you're applying for something that's more STEM related, you will list your STEM classes. If you're applying to something that's in the more humanities scope of things, you will list your humanities classes. So then for awards, the award section is a place where you can talk about any awards you've gotten, whether that be at a debate tournament or a cross-country award or an award that your school gave you. You're going to list the title of the award, the organization, so whoever gave it to you, the city that you got it in, that state, and then the month and the year that you received it. And a lot of different things qualify as awards. So if you think that there's something that applies, list it. If you don't, you can also cut the section and that's totally fine. So yeah, that's kind of the walkthrough of the resume. I think the general tone people should take as they approach writing their resume is really being honest about the ways they spend their time. Even if you don't think something is relevant or impressive, but you wind up spending a lot of time on it. For example, if you have a really long commute, that's something that you should list because it gives the person that's reviewing your resume a better sense of who you are and how you spend your time. So yeah, be honest, be diligent, update it when you need to, and please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or you want me to edit a draft that you have. I'm very much happy to do so. So thank you.